Two people started the same job on the same salary in the same year. 20 years later, one of them is checking their bank balance before buying groceries. The other one is deciding whether they still want to work. Same money in, completely different ending. So, what actually happened in between? Habit 1. They know where their money goes. The first habit sounds almost too simple. They know where their money goes. That doesn't mean tracking every coffee for the rest of your life. It means knowing the important numbers. How much comes in, how much goes out, how much you owe, how much you own, and whether your financial position is actually improving. Because there's a big difference between feeling wealthy and building wealth. Someone can earn $150,000 a year and spend $155,000. Another person can earn $70,000 and consistently keep and invest part of it. Who is actually moving forward? Income matters. But what you do with that income matters too. And once you know your numbers, the next habit becomes much easier. Habit 2. They don't wait to see what's left. Most people save like this. Salary arrives, bills get paid, life happens, money gets spent. And at the end of the month, they try to save whatever is left. The problem? Often, there's nothing left. Wealth builders tend to reverse that process. They decide in advance where part of their money is going. Savings, investments, retirement, or paying down debt. Then they build their spending around what's left. Automation makes this even easier. Money can move automatically on payday before you have the chance to spend it. You're essentially making your financial priorities happen first instead of hoping they happen later. But there's another problem. What happens when your income starts increasing? That's where habit number 3 becomes incredibly important. Habit 3. They don't upgrade everything you get a raise, so you upgrade the car, then the phone, then the holidays, then the house. Before long, you're earning much more, but somehow you still don't feel any richer. That's lifestyle inflation, and it's incredibly easy to fall into. This doesn't mean wealthy people never enjoy their money. Of course they do. The difference is that every increase in income doesn't automatically become an increase in spending. Imagine you receive an extra $500 a month. If the entire $500 disappears into a more expensive lifestyle, your income improved, but your ability to build wealth didn't. But if you enjoy some of it and invest some of it, now your lifestyle can improve and your wealth can grow. That gap between what you earn and what you spend is incredibly powerful, because that gap becomes the fuel for the next habit. Habit 4. They put money into things that can grow. This might be the biggest habit on the entire list. Wealthy people don't just earn money, they try to own things that can grow in value or produce income. Businesses, shares, property, retirement investments, or other productive assets. Think about two people who each have an extra $500 every month. Person A spends it. After 10 years, they may have some great memories and some nice things, but the money itself is gone. Person B regularly puts part of that money into investments. Now their money has the opportunity to produce more money, and eventually something interesting can happen. Their investments begin contributing to their wealth alongside their salary. That's when money slowly starts working for them. It usually isn't dramatic. In the beginning, it can actually look incredibly boring. But boring brings us to habit number 5. Habit 5. They keep going when nothing exciting is happening. Building wealth can be painfully boring. You invest this month, nothing dramatic happens. You invest next month. Still nothing. A year passes. You're probably not rich. And that's exactly where many people stop. They start looking for something faster. The hot stock, the next investment trend, the shortcut. But long-term wealth often comes from doing ordinary things for an extraordinary amount of time. Saving, investing, reinvesting, and repeating. You don't need to predict every market move. You don't need every investment to be a winner. Consistency and time can do a huge amount of the heavy lifting, and this is where compounding becomes powerful. Your money can generate returns. then those returns can potentially generate returns. And the longer that process continues, the more noticeable the effect can become. But there's one thing that can quietly destroy years of that progress. Habit 6. They protect their money from expensive debt. High-interest debt can work like compounding in reverse. Instead of your money growing for you, interest grows against you. Credit cards, payday loans, buy now pay later balances that get out of control, or other expensive consumer debt. This doesn't mean all debt is automatically bad. A mortgage, business loan, or other borrowing can sometimes be used strategically, but debt still carries risk. The important distinction isn't simply debt equals bad. It's understanding what the debt costs, what it's being used for, and whether you can comfortably manage it. Because paying 20% interest while trying to build investments at the same time can make building wealth much harder. Protecting wealth isn't as exciting as making money, but sometimes the money you don't lose matters just as much as the money you make. And that brings us to the final habit. Habit 7. They buy freedom before status. Imagine receiving an extra $10,000. What would you buy? A better car, designer clothes, a luxury holiday? There's nothing inherently wrong with any of those things. But there's another thing money can buy that we don't talk about enough. Freedom. Freedom to leave a job you hate. Freedom to handle an emergency without panic. Freedom to work fewer hours. Freedom to take time with your family. Freedom to say no. That's one of the biggest mindset shifts behind building wealth. Money stops being only something you use to show what you've achieved. It becomes something that gives you options. And sometimes the person who looks less wealthy on the outside is actually far wealthier on paper. The old car doesn't show the investment account. The ordinary house doesn't show the retirement balance. And the simple clothes don't show the emergency fund. Real wealth can be surprisingly invisible. Now look back at all 7 habits. None of them require you to become a financial genius. You don't need to predict the stock market, you don't need the perfect salary, and you don't need to completely stop enjoying your money. You need a system that repeatedly moves some of the money you earn toward your future. Know your numbers, save before spending everything, control lifestyle inflation, own assets, stay consistent, be careful with expensive debt, and use money to create options instead of only appearances. You might not be doing all 7 today. That's okay. Start with one. Because wealth usually isn't created by one enormous financial decision. It's built through hundreds of smaller decisions repeated for years. So here's my question for you. Which of these 7 habits are you already doing? And which one do you need to work on? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy simple, practical videos about money, wealth, and the psychology behind our financial decisions, subscribe to Clear Every Day. There's a new video every week.